You are not a sinner, you are a god. If that title rung a bell in you, or pissed you off in any way, or maybe made you uncomfortable or upset, I just want to tell you, you are not a sinner, you are a god. Now, let's talk about that. So, with the Christian church, like any kind of religion, they tell you that you're a piece of crap, you're a sinner, and that you don't deserve to go to heaven and you need something outside of you, which is whether it's, Muhammad or whatever, or I can't even remember what the Jewish God, I guess Yahweh, or if you need Jesus in the Christian religion or whatever it is. Um, you need something outside of you to save you, right? That's the assumption that these religions have. Well, uh, there's a big problem with that. Um, and in fact, I just went to church this past Sunday, which is a rarity for me to do. But I just went and I was like, huh, did anything really change since the church that I grew up in when I was a little boy? So, um, yeah, I was asking myself those questions, and apparently not. They still push the same old, oh, you're a sinner, oh, you're a bad person, and the only way to be saved is to believe in that, or I guess accept that Jesus died on the cross to save you and all that stuff. And I could go into all the reasons why that never occurred in the first place. You see, Christianity, or I guess Abrahamic religions, are the only literalist religions. So like Buddhism or Hinduism, they'll say, yeah, there's kind of a mystical thing to it. It's not like, like Buddha or Shiva like really existed, or, and stuff like that. So it's more of a mystical spiritual religions, which is to say that even though deities don't present themselves in a literal incarnation as a human, they will present themselves in other ways. Like you will meet them in meditation and visions in different spiritual modalities to get closer to those deities. And so, you know, uh, but the thing about Christianity, though, is that Christianity in particular, but also like any kind of other religions that will shame people into being taught that, you know, that they're less than and all that, is because the thing is that, oh, for example, in Christianity, oh, what did we actually do to deserve that, to be, to be called quote unquote sinners, which I don't believe in, but it's that, oh well, a long time ago two people did something bad, so now you're responsible for it. It's just so ridiculous. It's just like, okay, so my, great 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 man grandmother and grandfather, I guess, did something wrong or something to piss off God or something. But wait, I thought, well, God was a loving God. It's just like, nope. It's a punishing God that, is so obsessive and controlling that if you do one thing to piss him off, oh God, you're a bad person. So, uh, you know, so there's nothing actually that you actually did to deserve being called a sinner. And sure, we all make mistakes and shortcomings and quote unquote sins and all that crap they try to, indoctrinate us with. And, you know, uh, so there's a stark contrast between what religions want you to believe and what my experiences in spirituality are with like interdimensional beings, with ETs and such. And believe me, ETs, that's a whole nother subject. I've made plenty of videos on it. Um, ETs, aka aliens, are not what you would typically think of. What the mainstream media wants you to think of, which are these scary, grotesque beings with big heads and uh, big eyes and scary and all that crap. So, um, the thing about Christianity is it's like, okay, what did you do to actually become a sinner? And they just say, well, the first humans were sinners, so therefore it carries down in their lineage, in their DNA or whatever, I guess. Just because you were born, just because you happen to be a human means that you're a bad person. It's like, what? Look at a baby. You gonna tell me that little sweet precious baby is a sinner for some reason? No. It's it's a delusion. It's a it's a religion that makes you feel guilty. It triggers your guilt, your inner critic to say that says, "Oh, you're not good enough unless you accept Jesus Christ into your life or whatever it is." Um and so instead of saying, "Hey, what did I do and why is God so offended at me?" Um and if, the thing is, it's a really really good way to control people, to guilt people into thinking that they're awful people, that they're bad people, and that, that they somehow owe it to God to believe in him. So there's a preconceived uh, like a debt, a preconceived debt, because when you operate with the assumption that you are automatically, the second that you come out of your mother's womb, you're a sinner. I mean, what the hell? Like, so that's a preconceived automatic notion, or a belief or whatever that they want to instill in you, because as a human, we are, it's not that we're fallen from grace. It's not that we're departed from God's kingdom in whatever way. It's that we came into a limited 3D space. Our souls, now, our souls are infinite. Our souls are pure, pure bliss, pure joy, pure love, and all that stuff. And so our souls exist in a dimension that is outside of the 3D. Um, and so, um, and so, it's like this thing that is, it's essentially, if you want to call it God, it's God. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's there's a difference between our 3D experience and what our soul is, what our soul experiences. So when you have that difference, that differentiation, it's hard to understand what life is like as a soul versus as a human. As a human, we experience all kinds of, negativity in our lives. We have, you know violence. We have disagreements, we have fights, we have negative emotions, anger, all this stuff. And so, as a soul, we don't experience any of that. So, the human soul actually wanted to go down into 3D, into the earth as a human, and it wanted to do that because it has it puts itself in a limitation in order to give itself a challenge. So as humans, this life is challenging, and we, and yet we have the church saying, well, it wouldn't be so challenging if you just, turned your life over to Christ, right? And that's silly. So, it's something that, as I said, it's a damn good form of control. I could go into all the historical reasons of that, but yeah. Now let's talk about. I talked about why you're not a sinner, just because being a human is what God wanted you to do. If you want to believe in the Christian God, which I don't, that's fine. God wants you to be a human and have all your human feelings, and but I think that when we talk about acting in righteousness, acting in your own best interest, and acting with kindness and respect towards others, I think that's a good teaching of Christianity. However, other religions also teach that, the open-mindedness, the respect, the things like that. That's just a baseline kind of thing in spirituality. So so when so when you know um so it's kind of, Christianity is demonizing just being a human, just being a natural human. and and so there's reasons behind that. I've made videos detailing the control mechanisms of these religions, and the historical background of them. And yeah, so now I want to talk to you about probably the most challenging part to hear, which is that you are indeed a god. So you might be saying, well, that's sacrilege. That's, that's a bad thing to think. That's a bad thing to say. Why I would challenge you. Why is being a god a bad thing? Is that because there can only be one? Now, mind you, that whole monotheism thing that we've been taught in Western society as, a Christian whatever society, that the actually the the Jews uh who originally created monotheism, uh they were once polytheists. So if we want to talk about that, about worshiping different idols, they didn't want people worshiping different idols, different gods, and such, because they had a national god that everyone was compelled to worship, which is Yahweh, Jehovah. And that it was once one of many gods, including Baal. The Canaanites worshipped Baal. They worship many gods. And so for them to tell you that, being a god, or just thinking of yourself as a deity or a god or someone of importance and significance is very wrong of you. Well, they were the ones originally worshiping all the different gods. So, you know, and, and they created this monotheism, this one god, this one national god, same as the United States has. The United States has one. They won't say it in public. They won't like say, here's our theocratic god. But you know, a lot of people seem to think that the United States is a Christian nation, and it has a lot of Christians. So even though it's not plastered on our, on all over our monuments, one God, one God, our bills, our money say, "In God we trust." Not in gods we trust, in God. Okay, so what does that tell you? So, so this is not a polytheistic nation. It is a monotheistic nation. And for some reason people love this thing of monotheism. Oh, there can only be one creator. Well, there's actually multiple creators. There's actually multiple deities that work in multiple ways. So it's not just one, it's a plurality that do different things and such. And what if I were to tell you that there was deities within your body, like the navel center, each of the body's organs is actually has a deity within it that rules that organ. So, if you want to, you can even, meditate and, if you have a certain organ issue like pancreatitis or diabetes or heart issues, whatever, you can go in there and meditate and ask that deity what's going on, what you can do to help it, to fix it. This is something that I've done many times. And so, when we think about this is why we have atheists, because the duality of monotheism is either you believe in this one god, this particular god, or you don't believe in any gods. A theist, right? So we have theists, which is the understanding there is that we have one god, monotheist, one god. And then we have, if you don't believe in the one God that has been popularized, then you believe in no gods. And there's no in between other than maybe agnostic. Okay? So this is the only three options that people have is monotheist, atheist, and agnostic. When, if you go to India, you'll see some stuff. There's people worshiping Shiva, Krishna, Buddha. There's, it's like Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, things like that. They'll worship whatever god, and then there's their personal deity. There's their like, it has a whole bunch of things. So you might think of Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu as the three primary deities within that system. But then there's a bunch of like sub-gods like Ganesha, like Parvati, like Lakshmi, Hanuman, things like that. And so when I tell you that you are a god, you are a deity, why would I tell you that? Why would I tell you that? Because you are one of many. So when I tell you, hey, you're not a sinner, you're a god. It's not, oh, you're telling me I am the one God? No, that's not true. That's sacrilege. I'm telling you, you are one of many gods, as am I, as is like many people. All of us are gods. And so, when we when we dissolve the 3D identity of the individual that's sitting in front of you, the individual that you've come to think you are, to believe you are, in this 3D avatar, which is what it is. It's an avatar, as they say in Hindi. Avatar. They call it. They pronounce it somewhat differently, but yeah, this is what it is. An avatar. So essentially, the 3D body, the human body, is an avatar, and that means that, like the movie Avatar, we have someone who's controlling it from outside. The guy, I forget his name, but the guy was just sitting in a box. He was, he was plugged into the Matrix, but he was sitting in a box. He was not in that world. He was outside of it. He was playing the video game. Even though you might say, well, his he had a physical avatar. It wasn't necessarily like a digital or a digital video game. It was, real life in this different world or whatever. So that's kind of how it works. So the soul would be the guy inside the box, and the avatar would be the what is it called, the Navi or whatever, the the being inside the inside the Matrix. So and that's why that video or that movie got so much attention, so much, so much views. I think it was like a blockbuster. It was like so much, so many rich and so much cash and whatever. So when I tell you that you're a god, you don't have to feel guilty about being a human. This is the thing. I feel like how the Christians get so many people, so many conversions, is that it triggers people's guilt reflex. It triggers people's feeling that they're not good enough, that they need something outside them in order to fix them. This couldn't be further than from the truth. The truth is, I don't know why I have my camera like that. There we go. So the truth is that we are whole and complete within ourselves. And any kind of obviously as humans we feel inferior, we feel less than, we feel like we need to accomplish something or do something on this earth, make a name for ourselves in whatever ambitions we have in order to feel whole, in order to feel satiated, in order to feel like a full, complete person. Now, I know many people, this might be different for everyone in different areas. So that's how the religions use the guilt, oh, you're a sinner, you're bad, you're incomplete, you're imperfect, in order to get people to come up to the stage and say the prayer with them. Say the conversion or whatever prayer. So, And listen, guys, I just want to say, I'm not against Christianity. I mean, I personally would never do that. Would never become a Christian. Um, but listen, I'm not opposed to people practicing any kind of religion. Whatever you want. As they say, your body, your choice, your life, your choice. I don't, you know, uh, I can tell you that practicing what I practice spiritually, my spiritual beliefs and stuff, have made me, uh, have made me a better person, a happier person. You know, more. I guess it's given me some more, like, a just a better outlook on things, and it's deprogrammed me from this cult that I used to be in by the name of Christianity. And it is indeed a cult because it might not there might not be the, oh, drink the drink the Kool-Aid or anything like that, but um or like anything sketchy or whatever, but still it's handing your power over to something outside of you. It's giving your power away. So, you are indeed a god because your soul is God. And there's no difference between you and your soul. The human you, the human you is temporary. Again, an avatar. So are when you're removed of this human body, you go back to being your God self. And I just want to say, I didn't really believe in like a soul. I believed in a soul, but I just didn't know what it was. I thought it was just this spirit or thing inside of us. But after interacting with the light beings and after interacting with the ETs and stuff, um, I have come to believe that they've actually told me what role my soul wanted to play, what role my soul was playing in the higher dimensions and stuff. And so, who I was, like they told me who I was at a soul level. And so each of our souls has a different mission, has a different uh you know, role to play. And the other thing is, guys, a lot of times as humans we think of ourselves as less than, as, oh, poor me, and things like that. And we think less of ourselves, like, I'm nothing and things like that. But so here's the thing. So our our human experience is not like our higher dimensional experience. Again, this is an avatar. This is, and a lot of people have this mentality like that they were sent here to be punished or whatever, to be punished or to whatever, like people say, like there's these archons and stuff that are that are punishing people by, if if you go into the light when you pass away, then they're gonna send you back here. Which is the funniest thing because nobody has passed away and come back and said that. They say when you go into the light, which is the light of your soul, it is the most peaceful and blissful thing that you've ever experienced. And the thing about the higher dimensions, like the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, and so on, is that the ET light beings tell me all the time when I'm in meditation, if I were to let you experience all the love that I have for you, it would destroy you. And that's not something that they just, that's not something that I would have ever expected to be true. It is, man, it's like, so what does that actually mean, though? That means that we are so hateful of ourselves. We have so much self-hatred, self-devaluation, and things like that, that for someone to tell you in the true sense, like at the soul level, for somebody to tell you how much they love you, and that not only breaking your brain, like your mind wouldn't know how to comprehend it, but also it would just destroy you, evaporate you. Like that's that has to be powerful. That has to be so hugely powerful. A powerful, kind of love for us. And the beautiful thing is everyone is loved equally. They love me just as much as they love you. So, there's nothing that you have to do to earn their love. I didn't have to, jump circles or, jump through hoops to get their love, to gain any kind of, love from them. The truth is, guys, that these beings love you just because you exist. Just because you exist. That's all. So, it's it's when you go from oh, you have to behave perfectly, and you have to believe in Jesus or whatever, or what they told me in Catholic Catholic Church. It was actually really really quite something. They said that because I was born with some disabilities, they're saying, oh, well, your parents must have sinned, and that's God's way of punishing your parents because they sinned. It's the most ridiculous thing. Okay, so what? God wanted to punish my parents by punishing me? Huh? What the hell is that about? It's just so ridiculous. So, the logic is so flawed there. It's just like, what the fuck? So, that's the incredible guilt-ridden kind of shit that they'll tell you in Catholic and Christian churches. Is to trigger, oh God, so I have to, repent and make up for this sin with my parents so I can finally be healed. It's so funny. No, what, and what I later found out was I was born with this because I chose to be born with this. I knew that I couldn't possibly stand working a full-time job. That I wasn't born to do all that repetitive garbage. I was born to do this work, to teach you all, to help you guys grow spiritually. So that's why I'm here. So, yeah, guys, it's, something, we all were born in we're all born with our different uniqueness and challenges and things like that for, for a reason. It wasn't because the universe is punishing you or God hates you or this or that. It's just our unique way of experiencing life. And there's challenges that come with this, with being born like this, with disabilities, with limitations and stuff. It's because I have this grand vision for my life. This unique desires, unique experiences that I want to have, and so when you push towards those with those limitations, let me just tell you, if you have any desires that are designed to bring you joy, that you feel joy and happiness and thinking about doing those things, you were meant to do those things. You were, that's your calling in life. That's your, as we say in our, in my spiritual path, that's your soul desire. Whenever doing something gives you a great amount of joy, just for doing it, for experiencing it, that means that you were meant to do that. That means that you should do more of that. And so, it's all about that. So instead of, oh, I have to go repent or I have to, make things right with God or whatever, you were actually sent here by your soul in order to have the most fun you could possibly have. The most fun. Focusing on activities or things that bring you joy, that bring you happiness, that bring you fulfillment, peace, uh, things like that. That's what you were meant to do. Alright, guys, so just wanted to tell you that. And, yeah. You are God. And there's nothing wrong with being a God. I would say embrace it. Learn how to tap into that godhood. Learn how to tap into that. And to use it for your benefit. Alright? So, unlike, how the Christians would say, oh, calling yourself God is blasphemous, I would challenge you to think differently. Think of yourself and your life as God experiencing a human existence. God partaking in an experiment in consciousness. Okay? So that's how I think about things, is just this is an experiment in consciousness. This is a, this is something that is just, it's a temporary existence. It's a video game. It's it's a experiment. So this is, the beautiful thing about that is no matter how you live this life, at the end of it, you're always going back to your soul. And you could make the best decisions or the worst decisions, and your soul would go like, man, that was a hell of a video game. That was a heck of an existence. So, yeah, live more freely, guys. Instead of, having your routine and your daily things that you do that might not be the best for you, the most healthy for you, I would say get out of your shell, get out of your box, your comfort box, and go do things that might be uncomfortable. Go go do things that might might change you, might feel scary or whatever, but I guarantee if it's something that you want to do that brings you joy but you just haven't done it yet, just go do it. I guarantee by the end of it you'll be feeling so happy that you did. There's a lot of things that we just don't do that we know we should do just because of our inner critic that says, "Oh, I don't deserve that," or "I haven't worked for that yet," or whatever, you know. But we gotta get over that, because just remember, our natural birthright is, as humans, is, this the universe loves us just because we exist. There's nothing that we need to do. There's nothing that we need to be. There's nothing that we can do, even if we tried our hardest to make the universe love us more. So tapping into just the infinite love, the infinite and unconditional love of the universe is just, that's what's going to propel you, your your spiritual growth, your even just your inner happiness, just to the ceiling. So yeah. All right, guys. So yeah, let's get all that guilt and crap. Let's just do away with that. Any kind of guilt, any kind of inner critic thing, just, it's not serving us. So the only thing that guilt does is get us to act in fear. So let's get out of that. Let's not do that anymore. Let's act from courage. Let's act from bravery, from, just our joy and happiness and the things that we want to do genuinely in life. So, if you don't want to have a 9 to 5 job or like a corporate career, just decide that and it'll happen. Just decide on what you do want to do and it'll happen. All right. And, work towards that. All right, guys. So, yeah, that's about it for me. All right. So, I really enjoyed this talk. Thank you guys for listening to me. And, yeah, namaste. Peace. Take care.